What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wolf's Ramblings. Today, or tonight, I should say, I'm going to talk about two different things that kind of relate to each other, sort of, in a way, or at least the way I'm going to talk about them, and that is originality in video games and nostalgia about video games, because the two share a special relationship with each other that can be good and can be bad in many different ways. I don't know how long I'll be able to go on for this one, so I might go off on many tangents, because that's what I usually do. But anyway, nostalgia is really cool. If you make a game that can create nostalgia, I'm pretty sure you've succeeded in some manner, whether it may be small or large. But nostalgia, just is that, I don't really need to explain it to anyone. It's not really a feeling you explain, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You pop in a game that is it got dust on it. It's old. It's probably a cartridge. If it's a cartridge, you probably have nostalgia over it because we don't use those anymore. Yeah, even like the big old even discs are now. You can have nostalgic for PS1 games and even the mini discs for GameCube games. And man, I feel like I'm getting old. I'm still a teenager for a couple more months, and I already feel like I'm getting old with these games that are nostalgic all of a sudden. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like the most recent game that I'm nostalgic about. And, sometimes it doesn't take that long. There's really no defined period for how long a game needs to be out for it to be nostalgic at one point. I think once you play it a couple times, 2 or 3 times over, a 2 or 3 year period, and you probably have the first feelings of nostalgia there when you pop it in for the fourth or fifth time. But you can really judge a game's nostalgia by how many times you've played it. If you've played it upwards of 20 times, it's probably a very nostalgic game to you. But yeah, nostalgia is a good thing up to a point, because nostalgia kind of gets in the way of better judgment when it comes to game design. You have a lot of arguments for old games where generally a lot of the time it's a matter of opinion, and people try to state it as fact when talking about a game design choice that a developer made. And some people feel one way about it and some people feel another, and it's usually rather split. Like, there's generally no heavy side to one or the other when you have these kind of arguments. It's more about older games, like very nostalgic games, like, as I've talked enough about Zelda, of course. And the big argument there is usually Link to the Past versus Ocarina of Time, and the design choices there. And in reality, both sides are right and both sides are wrong. If you like Ocarina of Time more than Link to the Past, like I do, then there you go. If you like Link to the Past more than Ocarina of Time, there you go. They're both stellar games. You really can't rank them against each other. You really can't. Even though people try to, you really can't rank two good games, great games like those. It's like trying to rank, like classical songs, like Mozart and Beethoven. A lot of those songs are really, really good. You can't really bet them against each other. It just can't be. It's like when I see these top 10 lists that come out for video games, like top 10 video games of all. I saw a top 100 video games of all time list. Someone made a video about it, and it was like supposed to be scientific. Like, they took all these surveys they took all these other lists and factored in all this other stuff, like scores and ratings and things like that. And they're like the scientific top 100, and wow. Number one was Tetris, and that alone should tell you about the rest of the list. I mean, Tetris is a great game, but it's a puzzle game. I mean, their argument was Tetris stands the test of time. So does Monopoly. so does like Solitaire. Like, if I bring up my start menu, Solitaire, the game's still there. I mean, I know it's a card game, but it's still a game. I mean, you can't really say Tetris is the number one game just because everyone plays it still. I mean, everyone plays Angry Birds. A lot of people play Angry Birds. It's not as old as Tetris, but I don't know. That just really was like, what? Tetris number one? But see, here's the thing: is that I'm not trying to. While I'm trying to argue against Tetris, the reality is there could be like 20 games that could go in the number one spot. Really, there's like 20 games that could probably be stated as number one and have a really good argument for them. It all comes down to nostalgia. People have nostalgia towards certain games, and it's the strongest form of bias you can find. I mean, there's no fighting it. I mean, I think Ocarina of Time is the best game ever made. I think it's number one, and that doesn't make it number one. Even if a lot of people agree with me, then one doesn't make it number one. Even if it has the best score, it doesn't make it number one. You can't say a game is number one. You just can't. There's just too many good games out there to make a ranking for it. Like there's 20 games that could be in the top, top spot. There's like 100 games that could be in the top 10. Just you can't do it. And just pick for yourself. That's the fun of a lot of top 10 lists that people kind of forget. Even like I kind of messed up there, but top 10s are personal. They're opinionative. Even if you say you pull together scores and shit, no. Those scores that you pulled are opinionative. Everything about a game is opinionative, to a point. I mean, this is talking about purely good, great games. I mean, of course, if there are bad games, then yeah, I mean, they're bad. But we're talking mainly about the best of the best. I mean, once you're up to a certain standard, you're just nitpicking at that point. You can't really say one's better than the other. But yeah, nostalgia is interesting. Because at this point, it's holding some games back. Specifically the older titles like Mario and Zelda. And specifically those two, yeah, like, just the games are being held back because players want to see the same things over and over. And Nintendo's too afraid to take any jumps in any specific direction. And it's watering down what's the word I'm looking for? Watering down the collection of games, Mario and Zelda games that are out there. I mean, more so Mario than Zelda, but you got like Super Mario 3D Land, Super Mario Brothers Wii, or Super Mario Wii U, Super Mario Brothers U? There's so many games that are called Super Mario Brothers something, and that's not a bad thing. It's just they're really, really similar. They're not different. They're very similar, and I want to see more games like Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy was original. It was still Mario. It still had the Mario nostalgia. It still had everything Mario, but it was presented so well in such a new, cool way that it blew everyone away. It was a great game. I actually have never played it, but I've seen it. I've seen Let's Plays of it. I've seen videos of it. It looks like a fantastic game. It looks good. It has that look to it, and I've heard so much about the gameplay. I mean, it's a great game, probably the best Mario game out there. Of course, people argue and say Super Mario Brothers 3 or this that, but again, that comes back to the whole nostalgia point that you can't really pit them against each other. They're two games of a different time. You just can't do it. But I'd like to see some new games, and this is where originality comes in, because when's the last time Nintendo made a new series that could hold a candle to Mario or Zelda or Donkey Kong or Star Fox or any of its crazy good type Pokemon, any of those? When has a new game series come out that could match that, or even just be called somewhat as good as that? Because I haven't seen one. Nintendo is working on their motion control and their tablets, and they're not really working on any new games. They're really more up towards hardware than software, and a lot of companies are. Microsoft and Sony, they saw what happened with the Wii, and they're like, okay, Microsoft was like, we need our fucking evil soul-sucking Kinect, and Sony was like, we need our wacky dildo machine. And what happened to the games? What happened to making a good game? A good original game? Just go to a game show, go to a game store, look at the shelf and see how many army shooters there are. Not even like, you'll have your Call of Duty, you'll have your Battlefield. I'll even throw Medal of Honor with those two, even though Medal of Honor is like the weaker of the three. There's just so many other ones. No one's gonna step outside the box. Who's gonna do it here? Who's gonna step outside the box and make an original game that? When you say original, everything's been done. Every story, really, every type of story and every type of gameplay has really been done to death. because there's just so many games. But that doesn't mean there's nothing left. I mean, you can still take something in a new, cool, interesting way, and you can even take an idea that's been done already and improve on it and do it better. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, you can really see that in the indie games today. Indie games are higher quality in terms of design than most AAA titles, and I just don't understand it. I mean, you're talking about guys living in their basements or living in their mom's basements programming games and doing a damn good job with barely any financial help, barely any supplies, barely any, what's the word I'm looking for? When I do these rambles, I can't find words that are usually normal to me. But these guys put out amazing games. It's just incredible games. Edmund McMillan's one of the examples. I haven't seen Indie Game the movie, but you get the story of I think was it either Isaac or Meat Boy, one of those games, whatever one of the ones he made was in that. And Binding of Isaac is a truly incredible game that's very simple. It's an idea that's been done before. The original Zelda is highly based off that, and it improves on it, 100-fold. It does it so well, and it sold a poop ton of copies. No, but they just want to make their war games, their war shooters, their army shooters. They want to make their sports games, what's the other generic game? Their adventure games. It's so sad that adventure games have become generic now too, even though it's such a good, it's a good game type. Really, I mean, adventure games gives you a lot of freedom in terms of story, and all game developers want to do is, this guy goes into a jungle and jumps around a bunch and shoots some guys, and action's really overloaded too. All those lame action titles that come out, and they're not really necessarily bad games. It's just we've seen them before. You run around, you shoot guys. That's what you do. So many games are you run around, you shoot guys, and there's nothing else there. Like, that can be your starting point for a game. You can make it okay. You want to walk around and shoot guys, but you gotta have something else there. And I'm not talking about some dumb slow-mo mechanic or some dumb gimmick that's in the game. You need a legitimate, just something, whether it's a stellar story or even if you have a good story, there needs to be some gameplay aspect that is there and that's present that makes the game different, or even just good. Because like I said, it's hard to be different these days, but it's not impossible. It's not even, I wouldn't go any farther than it's hard. It's not harder than hard. It's just kind of difficult, and no one wants to take the time to figure that out. Some people do, and they have great success. Their games are great. I haven't seen a good game. I mean, you hear people say, that game's underrated, or, it's like, yeah, that happens sometimes, but most of the time, a very large amount of the time, a really good game, as long as it's presented well, will sell really well. Sell very well. But it won't sell as well as your Call of Duty, or your Halo, or your, as Sony pops in my head, I was like, what does Sony have they keep doing over and over that makes them a lot of money? Sony never. I guess Sony just falls under the Call of Duty category. Sorry, Sony, you don't have very many strong titles. I hear so much about Uncharted, but Uncharted looks so bland. I mean, I've never played it, so I can't really judge it, but it just looks so bland. Like, it's like, yeah, guy running around doing stuff, cool. It doesn't make me want to play your game. I don't know. I'm sure Uncharted's a great game, but this is my opinion. It looks very bland. But anyway, yeah, nothing original these days in the AAA market. And I really want to go back to Nintendo, though, because Nintendo can do so many good things if they just put focus on it. They've proven that they can make a game that is, let's use Star Fox as an example. Star Fox has been brutalized because it's just no games. Star Fox Assault was Star Fox Adventures was a good game, but it wasn't Star Fox. That's a game that gets a lot of hate because it's not Star Fox, but it's actually funny because it's actually a pretty decent adventure game. Star Fox Adventures. But it's actually, I really enjoyed that game. I played it a couple times. But yeah, people were mad with it because it wasn't Star Fox. It wasn't Star Fox. I don't know if you watched the JonTron show, but the game started out as like a Nintendo 64 game called like Dino something. I don't remember the exact title, but it was never meant to be a Star Fox game until Nintendo picked it up and just slapped Star Fox on the cover, and they made it a GameCube game. And like I said, great game, not a good Star Fox game. But where's the good Star Fox 64 sequel? I mean, Star Fox 64, while it was short and it was, simple, it just doesn't matter. It was a great game, and Nintendo could take it, do everything they. This is just like, let's compare here. We have Super Mario 64, and we have Super Mario. We'll skip Sunshine. We have Super Mario Galaxy. Just look at the improvement there. Just take those two games and look at the. I just mean on every scale: graphics, gameplay, polish, all these things, and just look at the difference there. Not cutting down Super Mario Bros. 3, just comparing. And imagine what they could do with Star Fox 64 and take that and make it the same kind of gameplay, but just improve on it. Imagine how good of a game that would be. And it wouldn't be necessarily difficult. It really wouldn't. But Nintendo doesn't want to do it for some reason. I have no idea why. And, Mario could use with another Super Mario Galaxy. I mean, that's a title I don't think anyone would mind seeing a third, because it's such a great game. You really could do the same everything, and I think probably after the third one you might want to try to do something new, though, because you get a little iffy after that. But Nintendo, what's up? What's up, Nintendo? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the computer. I'm like, Nintendo, look at me. Look at me. You can do this. You can pull yourself out of this nonsense with your obsession over strange gaming controllers that nobody wants. You can pull yourself out of it. I believe in you. And again, going back to the whole originality, even though we're still on that, Nintendo just needs to make something new. They need a new idea. Like when they thought up Zelda, when they thought up Mario, when they thought up Star Fox, Pikmin, Metroid, all these games. Nintendo needs a new face. It needs a new one of those games. And, they might not hit it on the first try, but they need to try. The point is, they need to try. Hire on fucking Retro Studios. Didn't they make Donkey Kong Country Returns? I think it was Retro Studios. Yeah, it was Retro Studios. Why? They did a great job with Donkey Kong Country Returns. Another great game. It's, you take Donkey Kong Country, it's very, very, very similar, and they didn't really improve that much on it. But it was still a good game. It was still a good Donkey Kong game. Hire them to fucking make a new game. Where are the writers? Where are all these writers that are so terrified to do anything? Like, I don't know. I really need to write about a plumber, or I don't know. I don't really feel safe doing anything creative at all. Even though I'm supposed to be a creative person, I need to write. And of course I'm calling out the writers, but it's probably Nintendo. They're not even giving writers a chance. The writers probably really want to stop writing about fucking Mario and Zelda, even though, Zelda, I want more Zeldas, but God, for God's sakes, try something new, Nintendo. Again, on the off, 0.00, to the negative 1% chance that wasn't a right number, that someone from Nintendo watches this. Just do something different for once. Keep doing what you're doing with the, improving on your nostalgia titles. That's just fine. But take a team and make a good game. Because I know you guys can do it. I know you have it in you. You really do. Microsoft and Sony are sitting there with their, money all thrown towards pointless developers or publishers like EA and Activision and Ubisoft and all these obnoxious money-grubbing, the word I just used that I forgot, publishers. And they have no originality. I mean, sometimes they pick up games that some newer game companies make. But in the end, there's just no one out there really trying anything different. Even the open world games, they're starting to milk those back again. And I don't have a problem with open world games, but God, it's like every year is a new fad. This year it's army shooters. Every year is army shooters, but this year it's open world games. It's hallway adventure games next. It's just where's the want to make a game? I feel like all this nonsense is like no one wants to make a game. They want to make money, and that's the sad truth for all the big companies. It really makes you appreciate the Edmund McMillans of the world. making games because they want to make games solely. They want to make something creative, something, and my computer better not have stopped recording and went into sleep mode on me. How dare you, computer? I was in a really passionate speech right there, and you ruined it. They make the games with their heart, not their pockets. And that's something that the world needs more of these days. So if you're watching this and you want to be one of those guys, go fucking do it. You go write your game, you go write the story, and you be fucking as creative as you damn well please. If you have the coding skills, go do it. If you want to do it, no one's stopping you. You can do it. You just gotta focus on it. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. We need more of you, because you're changing the face of gaming. I mean, it's so weird how separate the worlds are. Like, I have like my Xbox Live friends who are so out of it in terms of gaming. All they play are the Call of Duty. All they play is Battlefield. They play all those games, and that's it. And it's like, you guys are missing out on the it's like you're sitting there chomping on. This is a reference that I'm gonna steal from Ego Raptor, but they're sitting there chomping on the damn snack foods and the chips and shit of the gaming universe, and they're missing out on the beautiful, well prepared meals that are sitting there, just that are. It's like a snack food priced at $60, and a 3-course beautiful, well prepared meal for $5. That's what you have right here. I love this. This is a great analogy. You have your steak and your fucking, what goes with steak? I don't know, fucking something that goes with steak. I don't know. I'm not a culinary master, but you know what I mean. Your 3-course meal for $5, or your bag of Lay's potato chips. Nothing against, I love Lay's potato chips, but your bag of generic potato chips for $60. It's your choice. What's funny is, I know this works out, is that when you buy a bag of potato chips and you buy it and you pick it up and you squeeze halfway down, or half of the fucking bag is empty. That's obnoxious, but that's a good metaphor for these kind of games. You have the presented package of your Lay's potato bag. I use Lay's. Sorry, Lay's. I love Lay's. You have your potato bag. It's just looking there, and it looks like it's a really well-filled bag. It's all nice and pristine. But when you open it up and you put your hand inside, you're already halfway through the bag, right? You just open the bag and it's already halfway empty. Well, look at this. What? Look at all these good chips. All these good chips down here. But why couldn't all the good chips go all the way to the top? I'm really dragging out this metaphor, but it's a really good metaphor. But honestly, that's what a lot of these games are like. No originality, no substance, nothing. But fucking something to buy you over until the next year. This bag of potato chips will get you over to the next couple days, but then you're gonna need another bag of potato chips. You run out quick because it's only half full. But you don't, a 3-course meal, you only need to have one of those every once in a while, because you love it. It's good. You have one of those once like a week, and it's good. You don't need one every fucking day. This metaphor's dying. I should probably stop. but honestly, that's what it's like. Nintendo, make a goddamn Star Fox game. I want it. Do it. Do it. I'm really interested to see the Wii U, though, because the Wii U, it's technically a controller. It has the controller aspect to it. I mean, honestly, that's all a gamer. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here and talk about something else. Is the nonsense, because I'm gonna keep going. It's gonna be a 3-part video now. I thought of something else to talk about: motion control and the obsession with motion control. That's the next part. Why are we so obsessed with these motion control nonsense devices? I mean, I understand they sell well, and I guess that's where I guess that's the answer right there. But they don't work. They don't even work well, and they ruin gaming experiences. They don't put you into the game. They take you out of the game. I mean, when these controllers that we have, look at all the controllers that you hold: the Xbox controller, the PlayStation controller, the GameCube, the Nintendo 64. All these controllers were designed so you'd forget about them, and you wouldn't have to look back down at them, and you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm pressing the A button. No, you're doing the action in the game. You're swinging the sword, you're firing the gun. You're not pressing a button. and it's brilliant the way they designed these controllers to make it to where you don't have to look at them. It's perfect, and no, let's ruin that. So we're fucking throwing our hands everywhere and dancing around like a fucking lunatic. That really puts you into the game, because you're not actually in the whole point of motion control is like, oh, you're in the game, you're swinging your hand around and you're doing the stuff. No. You know, if you've played any game on the Wii, you know, any game that's actually meant to have immersion, not like fucking Wii Sports. Wii Sports is the gimmick. It's fun. It works rather well, but I don't play Wii Sports to play a well-class video game. That's another bag of potato chips. But a game like Zelda, you know, it's really it doesn't really feel like you're swinging the sword. It's because it's so inaccurate and it doesn't work properly. Even though it works kind of it doesn't work enough to where you can forget about it. You're always like, shit, that one wasn't my fault. The game fucked it up. And you're sitting here waving your damn hand around. You don't have a sword in your hand. You know, even the whole, it falls apart in itself is that, you know, you're throwing your hand in front of your face. It takes you out of the game because you're in your peripheral vision is the controller that you're throwing around like a fucking man. I'm making the motion over and over. But yeah, I mean, subliminally, the controller's right there in front of you and you're looking at it all nonstop. And that ruins it. That ruins, and even when you, like I've talked about this before, when you put the controller in the actual game as like a guideline that you don't actually need. I hit my desk there, I apologize. It ruined it. Fucking, it's really lame. And even though the Kinect doesn't have a controller, the Kinect has no visible use because it works fucking half as well as the Wii remote works. It doesn't work at all. I was at my cousin's house when the Kinect first came out for Christmas, and he got his Kinect for Christmas, and we played it, and it was really fun at the time. It was like, oh yeah, we're jumping around. This is having a good time, family, friends, and then everyone went home, and the fucking thing never got touched again. You know, I mean, it's like you go right back to your controller. You don't need it. And even the whole voice, like the voice commands, you just look like an asshole when you're shouting at your TV screen. You know, it doesn't work. Xbox, do this. No, in the movies, it seems kind of cool because they have these futuristic computers and they're talking to computers. They don't have to actually pronounce. They can just pronounce. They don't actually have to enunciate. They can just say it casually, and that's why in the movies it works when you talk to a computer. But in actuality, when you have to sit there and say it word by word so the machine can understand it, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And it's another gimmicky thing that ruins your gaming experience. Controllers are just fine. Controllers will be just fine up until motion control works. Here's the thing. Even if motion control works flawlessly, even if it works 100% of the time, you know, in the future, you know, if all it is though that there's just no way until virtual reality is a 100% thing, which is, I would say, hundreds of years out, when virtual reality becomes a legitimate thing. We're gonna be dead by the time that happens, but when it does happen, then go ahead. You know, 200-300 years down the line, when that's a cool thing, go ahead. I don't care. That'll be the way to do it. But until then, a controller is just fine. It's perfect. It's designed that way. Why fix what isn't broken? They're not broken. I even prefer. This is why I love controllers more than keyboards. Because keyboards, there's just so many buttons. Controllers are designed so well that, you know, you don't really need to. I'm not good with keyboards. I'm not. You know, I sit here and I step on the keyboard. I don't want to hit any keys and stop the recording by accident, but I'm just not good at it. I can't focus on the sheer amount of buttons that you can press. And there's no comfortable position for me. Like the mouses are designed to work, and mouses is it's like a controller, a mouse. It's perfect. But a keyboard is designed to type, not to play a game. Keyboards were never designed to play a game. And they're still the same way they were years ago. I know there's some specific gaming keyboards out there that have a bit of a learning curve because they're really intricate and specific, but they're just over elaborate controllers. That's why a lot of people plug their controllers into their computers to play their games, because controllers are designed to do that. They're perfect. They're great. And the only flaw is the lack of buttons, and the keyboard fixes that flaw, but it's presented so poorly that it has other problems to it. And I know I'm talking to a lot of PC gamers. A vast majority of you guys are PC gamers, but controllers are the more immersive thing to use. Probably the most immersive, more immersive than motion controls, like I've been talking about. It's because they're designed that way. They're meant to not be there. They're meant to be invisible, and that you don't notice them, and they work. When was the last time you were playing a game where you weren't having any problems with the game itself, and you had to fill around with the controls to figure something out? But when you knew all the controls and everything was there, when was the last time you noticed the controller was there? You can't really recall. Again, as long as there's nothing wrong at the time when you actually don't know what to do and you're sitting there like, what button does this shit? But when it's working, and it works, when the game does it right, you don't notice the controller. And that's the beauty of it. And with all these motion controls, we're really fucking that up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Wii U does. Because the Wii U, I really like that, it's gimmicky, but if you're out there playing on your Wii U and someone wants to come watch TV, you can throw the game on your tablet. Even if you just want to play on the tablet, you can play on the tablet. Sometimes you just want to play. I know sometimes it's fun to lay back on a couch and play on a handheld. So if you can do that, I think that's pretty cool. It's just a cool little thing. It's not like a selling point, but it's pretty cool. But it's gonna all come down to the controller feel. How does the controller feel? It's a fucking box. Is it designed well? Am I not gonna notice it's there? It's a giant fucking thing. It's like a foot and a half wide. How is that gonna be invisible? And they're gonna use it so you're constantly looking down at the controller to do things in the game. Are you seeing the problem here? The controller is going to be in your face when you're playing the game constantly. Now, I understand that's the point, but it's the same problem, and it sounds dumb, but if you're looking at the controller, you're taking yourself out of the game because you're seeing the controller. You're not supposed to see the controller. And it's like, yeah, great, I get it. Touchpad, accurate, allows for a little diversity in your controls, but it's clunky. It's in your way. And I don't want to be playing a Zelda game where, if it's set up the right, even if it's set up the right way, it's going to be pretty cool. Like if your items are right there on the little touchpad, you touch the item and you don't have to go into another menu, it's going to be cool and it's going to make sense. But again, you're looking down at your controller to do that, and it just doesn't. I don't get it. I don't think it's the right path. Even though it intuitively makes sense, it breaks immersion, and that sucks. That's the goal that all games should have, or all games trying for a deep experience. Games trying for that kind of idea. Immersion is the number one goal. And that's not there with motion controls. It's not there with your little touchpad controls. Microsoft wants to do it too with their damn Microsoft Surface. And it's like, for fuck's sake, I just want a controller. And that's one of the bigger problems with the Wii, is that you can't, even if you don't want to use the motion control, you have to. Why? Why are you forcing me to use your shitty device? I can understand if some people want to do it and they're like, where my hand, fucking shaking a stick. Fucking, why press buttons when you can shake a stick? That's a JonTron reference. But, I don't want to shake a stick. I don't want to touch a touchpad. I don't want to wave my hands around. I don't want to know my hands are there. I want to be looking at the screen and the screen alone. I want to be focused and immersed, not flailing. So, yeah, there's I kind of went ranty towards the end there, but it's really sad that we're focusing so hard on hardware and so soft on software. It's really sad that that's where our heads are at, and not even the right hardware. Like, the fucking Xbox and all these new gaming consoles are shit compared to PCs. PCs are 10 times more powerful than shitty Xboxes and PS3s. A device you buy for explicitly playing games and specifically playing games is not designed to play games because it has shit memory, has a shit graphics card, has all this shit hardware, and we're focused on the goddamn flailing. Really, we're fixing what isn't broken, and we're not paying attention to what is. That's embarrassing. I understand we're trying to make the device cheap. You know, I understand that kind of goal, but these consoles are to be bought for years. I've had my 360 since it came out. Of course, actually, this is like the fourth or fifth 360 I've had. You understand what I mean there? But I've had the console since it came out. I don't remember the exact date. Was it 2006? I think it was 2006 when the 360 came out, but I can't be for sure. But it's been like 5 or 6 years. So if you're going to have a console for 5 or 6 years until the next console run turns around, it needs to have power. I'm willing to spend, $700-800 on a console if it's going to last me for a long time and have the power. I mean, this is the thing. They're dumbing down the console. They're dumbing down the hardware to make it cheaper and more accessible. We always come back to this same problem, is that we want to market gaming to everybody. We want the moms and the grandmoms and the 5-year-olds and all the wrong demographics, all the demographics that don't want consoles. They want to sell to those demographics, and they don't give two shits about the 16 to 30. I would even put 33 in the mid 30s. That demographic. We say fuck that demographic. They're gonna buy it anyway. So let's make sure we dumb it down as much as possible. Dumb the console down. Dumb the controller down. Dumb the game down. Dumb everything down, so we can sell to everybody. That's where the gaming industry is. This kind of got depressing at the end towards here, but that's where the gaming industry is. We're marketing towards people who don't want to play games. That's why your games are shit right now. That's why there's nothing original. That's why the only original content is through indie right now. Honestly, that's it. And again, I know there are some good AAA titles out there, but just even though the title's good, if your console isn't good, which isn't really a problem people talk about that much, but it's there. It's the whole thing that PC users laugh at console users because the consoles are shit, and that's a problem. It needs to be fixed. Memory's a lot cheaper now. I built this computer for about $1,400, and it's a pretty nice computer for $1,400. I'm not saying the consoles need to be $1,400, but I believe that you guys the companies can find the right parts and make the right cuts where they need to be to make sure certain parts of the console are properly equipped. And I'm sure for around $800, you can make a pretty damn good console with pretty damn good power. But they don't want to sell an $800 console. They want to sell a $400 console. They want to sell a $200 console. They want to sell for cheap as cheap can be. And they want to, because that's where the most money is. The cheaper your product is, the more money you make. That makes no sense, but it actually, in a business standpoint, it does make more sense because more people buy it. And then you get more sales, and you get more sales on games. You get more sales on controllers and accessories, and it's all about money. All of it. I'm going to get a little pissed off here, but all of this nonsense is about money. They want your money. They don't want your support. They don't want your good reviews. They don't want you to have they want you to have just enough of a good time to buy more. No more, no less. As long as you're buying more games, that's the line. We don't need to go in. We don't need to make any games better than that line. So that's where you can draw this little line here, and you can put every game on all these new consoles on that line. And it's just the line where you come back for more. As long as it reaches it, it's a good game for them. As long as it's a good game for them, they're gonna sell it. So I got very ranty at the end. I apologize, but it angers me to know that there's such a lack of originality, and I feel like there's going to be a nostalgia gap. in games around this time. I mean, think of how nostalgic you are for all those good GameCube and Nintendo 64 and Sega, Dreamcast, PS1, Super Nintendo. Look back at that. Look how many games. This is the whole thing back to the top 100. All of those good games, and there's just going to be a really big gap around this period 20 years from now where it's like, yeah, I don't really. I mean, the Halo game was really good. But there's going to be no Mario of today's age for Microsoft and Sony. There really isn't. And there you go. So thank you guys for watching. And let me know. Remember, this is a discussion. This whole point is a discussion. Type up in the comments. I will respond. I'll read every one, just as usual. And let me know what you guys think. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.